And welcome back to Digital Trends Live. I'm Greg Nibbler. Thank you very much for joining us wherever you are. We appreciate it. Hit subscribe. That way we can join the show here every single day because we get to talk to awesome people. And I want to say this. You, of course, know our next guest as Lip from Shameless. He's Schreier in Homecoming and now starring in the new movie, The Rental, which features two couples staying in an oceanside cabin when things go wrong. It is Jeremy Allen White joining us. Thank you so much for being here.
Hey, yeah, of course. Thanks so much for having me.
I've got a lot of things to ask you about that I want to talk about, but first off, when it comes to this movie, where it's two couples going to a cabin on, kind of an oceanside stay, it seems like it's going to be this romantic thing, and obviously things go wrong. When it comes to a thriller like this, if you would call it that, or horror, or wherever this goes, how do you prepare for a role like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, the plan was always that we kind of came together with Dave and we wanted to approach the movie more than anything, just like a character study, It was about these relationships and kind of like the breaks in these relationships of the couples. And certainly like my character, Josh, and his brother, Charlie's relationship, played by Dan Stevens. So our approach, I think, was just to try and get to understand these characters and get really invested in them. And then, everything that happens around that is kind of out of the character's control. And we're all kind of just reacting to that sort of madness,
So kind of along for the ride with it.
Right.
Well, when it comes to that, I obviously don't want to spoil anything. This is in the trailer, but it showcases like a camera being seen in one of the shower rooms. And, definitely disturbing stuff, kind of worst nightmare for all of us. Have you ever experienced anything creepy like that on a ride share or maybe staying in an Airbnb?
No, it's funny. I think kind of the first Airbnb I stayed at was while filming this movie. We were in Bandon, Oregon, and production put me and my family up in this little like beach cottage in Bandon, and it was it was a lovely experience. And since then, I've used it, and it's been really great. So this movie didn't deter me from staying in any Airbnbs, but I'm sure it might do for some.
That's funny because I'm actually based in Portland, Oregon, so I do know where Bandon is. It is a tiny town on the coast. What was it like staying in a place like that where you're on location filming?
It was so great. It's cool when you do movies like this. I mean, first of all, the cast was very small and the crew was very small. I mean, the scale of the movie in general was small, and we were in this small, very beautiful town in Bandon. So it was a lot like going to camp, for grown-ups. We were all, having dinner every night together. All of our homes were pretty close to one another. So, and all right on the coast, like right on the beach. So we were walking on the water all the time. And, it was just a really, really nice experience.
Well, when it comes to that, just to kind of switch to a little bit of a tech angle, since we are talk about tech here on the show. Like when you go on location, what is the one piece of tech you can't live without?
I mean, I'm not such a tech savvy guy. I mean, I would say my phone, but I suppose that's kind of like a boring answer. But I do I love watching movies. I love movies. And I was really impressed by something that Dan Stevens brought along, who played my brother. He had one of these compact sort of projectors. I guess you could like play movies from your phone or your iPad onto this very small projector and project something onto a wall. And I definitely thought about investing in something like that. It seems like something nice to bring to sets,
Well, talking about this, and just with the state of the world right now, and obviously with the pandemic and shooting, stopping, and I don't know when it's starting back up, but going along those lines, and you mentioned that you like movies. What are some of the movies that you've been watching lately, or even shows that you've been binging?
We've been watching every Sunday night this great show called I May Destroy You on HBO. I think they're on about their seventh episode. that's really been something to look forward to every week. It's really fantastic. And I think I've kind of been watching just in these last couple weeks. I've been watching some of the movies that Dave had recommended we watch when we were preparing for the movie, just to kind of get my head back into that place in preparation to do press and stuff. So I've rewatched Hereditary recently, and The Shining was one. Texas Chainsaw was one. So I've been watching, I think, a lot of horror stuff, kind of gearing up for this.
Well, and with this release, you talked about The Rental, which again coming out July 24th, and it looks like it's going to be in some drive-ins as well, at least according to what I'm seeing, which is
Yeah.
pretty cool. Well, for this, and looking forward to what's coming up for you personally. I mean, you've been a very busy guy, so I'm wondering for coming up, how do you foresee entertainment kind of going back to shooting?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to be really safe. We were about to start our 11th season of Shameless, our final season of Shameless, in mid-March. I think it was like March 17th. Obviously, we didn't start. Um, so that's been getting pushed, and they're just trying to find the safest way to go about it. We shoot the majority of it here in Los Angeles. Cases have been spiking, and so people are just trying to be careful. But I do think that movies like The Rental will probably be getting made more and more because it was just such a small movie. The crew was small, cast was small, and it was so kind of controlled. Us being in this small community in Bandon, and I think it's going to be easier to kind of make these smaller scale films now, obviously, than it is these bigger ones, because I think just less people will be safer. So I'm kind of excited to see what small movies come out of this time.
Well, yeah, maybe inspire some different forms of creativity.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Jeremy, I want to say thank you for joining us here to talk about all of this and everything that you have going on, and what
Absolutely.
you've been
Thank
up
you for
to.
having me.
And I did have one other question just about being in quarantine. Something I'm kind of asking everybody: have you found any new hobbies that you've picked up that maybe you didn't have before, or that you've revisited?
I have I've started a lot of new hobbies, but I haven't had much follow through. So I've started learning French and dropped it. I started gardening. I dropped it. I have dropped a hobby that I'm very happy about. I was a smoker for 10 years, and I dropped that hobby, which is, I think, the biggest shift in hobbies that I'm very sort of happy about during this time.
Well, congratulations. That's good.
Thank
But
you very
I,
much.
like
Yes.
you, tried gardening, and I was terrible at gardening. So yeah, that didn't last very long for me
Yeah,
either.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
French and gardening, I dropped. Yeah,
Well, Jeremy, thank you very much for joining us. I want to remind everybody, so The
of course.
Rental, coming out July 24th, when people can check it out. It's going to be available on demand and in select drive-ins. Go see it. It looks really exciting. I'm excited to see it myself.
It is. Thanks,
And
man.
thank you very much for being here with us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. Nice to meet you, man.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.